It's week 5 on the Pacific Crest Trail, and this week was one of my favorite weeks in Southern California, but probably not for the reasons you're expecting. This week was full of laughter and time with friends, and that community feeling that I love so much about being on long trails.
It is officially week 5 on the Pacific Crest Trail, and it is day 29. And yeah, yesterday, I don't know, it didn't start out as a great day, but then it got better. Today, physically, I'm feeling a little bit better, kind of. Mentally, I don't know. I still think my head's not really in it today. We took a break a little while ago and I did really want to get up. And we were only like 5 miles into the day. So I think it's just going to be one of those days where I'm just going to have to motivate myself to keep walking. So yeah, but it's week 5, so. Sometimes these desert mountains look like the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it makes me miss home. Sometimes it can be really hard to appreciate the desert because you're either like trying to get to the next little spot of shade or you're trying to get to the next water. And so you're just like rushing and you're either so hot or you're so thirsty that you can't appreciate what's around you. And that's kind of sad some days. Because sometimes I feel like I can't look up, or you're on like a cliffside and you have to like watch where you're stepping, or you have to watch for rattlesnakes. So anyways, sometimes I wish that I could just enjoy the beauty of the desert a little bit more, but sometimes I do just stop and try to take it all in.
I was so grateful to experience something like hiking in Southern California, where the environment is so different from anything I've ever experienced. Despite that, I knew even in week 5 that this section of the trail would not be the section that I missed the most.
Got some heat rash going on. Dirty legs. Good morning from day 30 on the PCT. We are up as the sun is rising this morning because it got really hot yesterday. So we're trying to beat the heat a little bit. I have some layers on this morning and I'm already hot, so I need to stop and take them off. But yeah, I don't know. Another morning, I'm waking up, I'm kind of tired. The blister on my right heel has gotten bigger instead of smaller, even though I've been trying to elevate it at night. And yeah, I can definitely feel it with every step I take. So that sucks. So yeah, but you know, just gonna keep walking.
I was feeling a bit homesick this week, as every time I saw some blue ridges in the distance that had the similar colorings to the ones I love so much at home, it made me miss them dearly.
That view, that reminds me of home. That looks like the Blue Ridge Mountains, at least until the sun comes up, and then it'll look like desert.
Besides just missing home for the act of missing it, I also missed the green tunnel a bit. The sun was starting to bake my skin more and more every day, and every time we had to walk through a patch of scraggly bushes that scratched at every inch of my skin, I longed for the rhododendron leaves that did not hurt when I walked by them. But I'll give this to the West Coast. I was getting pretty used to enjoying a view almost every second of the day. Whenever I looked around, there was something beautiful to see, and no trees blocking the way.
I feel like I'm in purgatory. It's hot. I feel like the heat is like radiating off the sand. So my legs feel like they're on fire. Honestly, my whole body feels like it's on fire. I'm so hot. Oh man, we just gotta breathe. Oh, sweet relief for like 5 seconds. Yeah, and it's just like baking. It's just baking. Yeah. It's time to not be in the desert anymore because this is hot.
But just as my mood was starting to sour dramatically, we made it into Acton, where we were going to spend half the day and the evening camping at the 49er Saloon before heading to Aqueduct the next day. In Acton, we were able to enjoy sitting in air conditioning and enjoying non-dehydrated food. This town wasn't very big, and a lot of it seemed to be modeled to look like an old western town, and it absolutely did, which made it all the more quaint and adorable. We really enjoyed just sitting on the porch of the general store and enjoying chocolate milk and ice cream.
Cheers!
Cheers! It is really good that I don't have a dairy problem. As I said at the beginning of this video, our fellow hikers is what made this week so special to me. As much as I was enjoying this trail, something that I felt like was different was that the community aspect just didn't feel the same as on the Appalachian Trail. But here at the 49er Saloon in a dirt lot where we were all just together hanging out, I felt that community again, and it felt really good and really special. Good morning. It is day 31, and it is our 1 month anniversary of being on the PCT. So we've officially been on trail for 1 month. Woo! A lot more to go. But yeah, yesterday it was really hot, and it was honestly a little bit miserable from how hot it was. But we heard from other hikers that you could get into Acton and there was a Chinese buffet, which the Chinese buffet was not true, but we could get into Acton, and so we hitched a ride into Acton to get some food. And there is the 49er Saloon that lets hikers camp out back, and so instead of coming back to trail because there's not a lot of places between here and Aqueduct to camp, we just camped there. And now this morning we have 10 miles to Aqueduct, and apparently we're going through Vasquez Rocks, which was like a spot where like Star Trek and stuff was filmed. So yeah. And look, it's a beautiful morning for our month anniversary on the PCT. I couldn't believe we had been out here a month already, living another dream of through hiking a long trail. There's something about being out here where it feels like time simultaneously moves too fast, but also moves too slow. I think in a lot of ways, it's because I'm truly living in the moment out here. It's a month on trail party. How are we feeling?
Good.
But what are you doing?
What do you mean what am I doing? Hell.
Something that I wanted to mention that was really cool about going to the 49er Saloon was that I felt, at least I feel like out here, like hikers aren't like together, like brought together by a lot of things, except for like, you know, like water. But like on the AT, like there were the shelters where everybody kind of congregated, and so like you met a lot of people, and that was really cool. And out here, there's just like everybody's kind of more spread out, which is totally fine. It's just kind of a different experience, which is cool too. But it was really cool how like at the 49er Saloon, it kind of like brought us all together. And so there was like a big clump of hikers, and it kind of felt like how on the AT we would either come together at shelters or at the hostels and just, you know, all kind of hang out together and have fun. And yeah, so that was really nice. And I feel like we've definitely gotten to hang out with our fellow hikers, which has been wonderful. But yeah, it definitely felt really nice to hang out with fellow hikers and yeah, be a part of the trail community. The community that I had made on the Appalachian Trail forever changed me, and I longed for that feeling out here too. And with some of the new friends that we made the night before at the 49er Saloon, we were having some fun today. Our best friend told Barbie that he had a 30-minute head start and that best friend better not catch him. And he didn't. Barbie's actually a very fast hiker when he doesn't have to lollygag with treats. But this silly little game filled our morning with lots of laughter.
Love it.
And so we walked into the area of Vasquez Rocks laughing with friends, and that made those views so much sweeter. Because although I find it really special to just sit with a mountain and take in the moment, there are some things that truly are sweeter when you share them with other people. And this was one of those moments. I'll forever have fond memories of walking through Vasquez Rocks. And it's not just because of how beautiful it was and how iconic this rock is for having been in Star Trek, but because of the people that we got to share it with. I'm not gonna lie, the nerd in me was really wishing that some kind of starship or cool alien creature showed up right about now. And then with our gaggle of smelly hikers, we walked in to Agua Dulce and enjoyed town together. It will surprise no one, but my first stop once we got to town was the Rustic Mercantile, where I was hoping to get a matcha and a treat. We were about to go have breakfast, so I just ended up getting a matcha, which was actually pretty good. And then I headed to Terra Dulce, that is very PCT hiker friendly, and pulled up a big table for us outside so that we could all sit and eat together. I won't necessarily dream about my breakfast, but the vibe here, where they just literally let us all sit here and enjoy each other's company, was top tier. After feeling like we had sat too long, we all started making our way to Serenity's Oasis, which is a very iconic spot where hikers come stay at this section of the PCT. And the name does it justice. It truly is like an oasis in the desert. There were a lot of nice things about Serenity's Oasis, but my favorite thing was the icy foot soak. My big blister was just getting bigger. I've never had one so large, and this icy foot soak gave my foot new life. And this is my PSA to future PCT hikers to do your resupply in Acton and not Agua Dulce, because the options are better. Just trust me. After a yummy evening meal with friends and a nice night, we headed back to trail the next morning from Agua Dulce. But I headed back to trail with just Allie. Barbie and the boys decided that they wanted to have one last breakfast and would catch up with us later.
It is day 32 on the Pacific Crest Trail, and we are climbing, and I am sweating bullets. So, it's warm again already. Yesterday, we did our 10 miles into Agua Dulce, and yeah, we had some fun with it. We tried to stay ahead of, we left like 40 minutes before some of our faster friends, and we tried to stay ahead of them as long as we could. Barbie made it the furthest, of course, and then Allie made it the second furthest, and then my little legs were caught first. But yeah, so we went into Agua Dulce, and then we went to Serenity's Oasis, which was really nice. I didn't take enough video, because sometimes I'm just enjoying the moment. Yeah, sometimes I just don't take too much video, so that I can be in the moment with everybody. And it's like was one of those spots again where we were like, there were all kinds of other hikers nearby, and so it was really nice to just spend time with them. Yeah, so I was just enjoying the moment. But yeah, we did that. We had a resupply. The resupply in Agua Dulce is lacking. The resupply at the Serenity's Oasis is a lot better than the grocery store. So yeah, I would recommend that through hikers either send themselves a box or go support Serenity's Oasis. Yeah, because there was not great options, which is like very disappointing to keep having lackluster options to try and feed myself. Anyways, so yeah, we hung out, we had a good time. We went to the little cafe where I had a matcha, and we went to the breakfast cafe, and then we went to the Mexican restaurant for dinner. And yeah, and then we just kind of hung out, and it was awesome. So yeah, all in all, a good little Nero day, and now we are back out on the trail. We're doing a big day today, 23 miles, because there are only 2 spots for water. There was water 8 miles in, which we have passed and filled up, and I'm carrying water somewhere. And yeah, and then the next one is at 23 miles. So we're just going where we can. So yeah, it's actually overall, it's a little bit cooler today. There's a bit of a breeze, which is heavenly. So we're going to enjoy it while we can and push some big miles and get to Hiker Town and then to Hatchpee. So here's for another day on the PCT.
By the time we had made it to that first water source, Barbie and the boys had caught back up to us, and although we all hiked at different paces, it was still fun to ebb and flow as we saw our friends throughout the day. And then I came across some treasures. Barbie thought that they were really creepy, and in some ways they are, but it was also kind of cool. But then we came across some real treasure of trail magic. Somebody had left Del Taco burritos, and we were all sitting in the shade, having a little hiker trash party, eating bananas and burritos.
If you look straight ahead, you'll see we have some wild through hikers using the hose to bathe themselves.
Hey, best friend, what you doing?
The last half of the day was pretty exhausting, but pushing the 23 miles for water and these moments with friends was worth it. It was never a dull moment when Barbie and Allie were around, and sometimes you just have to start your morning out with song and dance, because sometimes that's really the best way to start your day out on the right foot. And the start of day 33 on the PCT wasn't too bad. The weather was actually kind of overcast and foggy, which was very rare for this area, and I was absolutely soaking it up. Soon enough, though, as it always does on this trail, the fog and clouds burned off and we were once again in the sun. But that meant that some of my favorite little desert creatures came out to show off. I am so fascinated by these horned lizards and think that they are so cool. It is day 33 on the PCT, and yeah, this week my mentally, emotionally, and physically, it has been a roller coaster. Yeah, like I've really loved that we've met like all these awesome people this week, and we've gotten to hike with so many like great, wonderful new friends. But like mentally, a lot of mornings I have woken up and just like not been in the right headspace and just like not felt great. Like last night I slept like crap because we were right near a road and it was like super duper noisy. There were so many noisy cars. So yeah, just did not sleep well at all. So, and need that sleep to let the legs recover. But then, yeah, and then emotionally, ooh, lizard. Emotionally, I've been on my period, and so that's just like an emotional time. So yeah, it's just been like all over the place this week. And then physically, like some days I've like I'll feel good in the mornings and then I'll feel like crap in the afternoons. I think that's more to do with the heat, because I think once that afternoon heat comes in, I just like crash out. But anyways, so also we're climbing, so that's why I'm kind of huffing. But yeah, so it's been a roller coaster of things this week, but still out here. We're about to go through a huge section of poodle dog bush, which I'm not really looking forward to, but it's got to be done. So anyways, but I'm reminding myself that it's such a treat and a blessing, and I'm still so grateful to get to be out here and doing this. So even on the days that are a bit more challenging mentally, physically, emotionally, I still get to be here doing this. So let's go shimmy around some poodle dog bush. So this plant that you're seeing right here is poodle dog bush, and I actually had no idea that this was a thing until before this trail. And what happens is if the oils of the plant get on your skin, they basically give you like 3rd-degree burns. And if you were here for the Appalachian trail, you know that I had a fun time with some blister beetles and poison ivy, and that basically I am just a sensitive gal. And so Barbie probably would say that I was being a little bit over dramatic about the way that I would shimmy around these plants, but I was terrified that I would get it on my skin and that it would mess me up.
500!
But even the fear of touching poodle dog bush could not quell my excitement for reaching 500 miles. And I would walk 500 miles. We definitely sang that song when we reached that marker. No matter what trail you're doing, it always feels like such an accomplishment to have walked 500 miles. And for us, we could finally say that a 5th of the trail was done. 500 miles is a lot of miles, and in the moment it was an accomplishment, but it also felt like a small drop in a very big bucket. But I knew that it really would all go by too fast. I am loving the hike this morning because we are walking through a forest, and I miss forest. It is day 34 on the Pacific Crest Trail, and wow, yesterday was honestly in some ways kind of lovely because we were walking in a lot of forest, but we also pulled our biggest mileage day yet of 26 miles so that we could keep up with our friends, and also so that we could, like, I think we're gonna night hike over the Aqueduct. So yeah, we're just trying to get the mileage all correct. Anyways, we pulled a 26-mile day yesterday, which was exhausting. We should have left earlier to do that because we didn't get into camp until like 7:30, but it's all okay. My feet were throbbing a little bit and my blisters are definitely bigger. But other than that, actually kind of okay. This morning my legs are definitely tired, but we only have 14 miles into Hikertown, and then we're gonna figure out our plan for the Aqueduct and then further on into Tehachapi. So yeah, yesterday, we also hit the 500 mile mark, which is still so exciting. Even though this is my second through hike, it's always still so impressive to me that my body can do something like walk 500 miles. So it's still a momentous marker, and it was super exciting to hit it, even though yesterday we kind of like savored it, enjoyed it, and then kept on going so that we could get our 26 miles in. So yeah, this morning we're in the forest, so it's kind of nice, but we are going lower back in elevation today, so it's gonna be hot as hell again soon, which is why we're probably gonna night hike the Aqueduct. So anyways, it's gonna be a beautiful and then hot day on the PCT. This morning is making me realize how ready I am to not be in the desert. I've really enjoyed it. I really have. I mean, most days. There have been some days where I'm like, get me out of here. But yeah, this morning is really making me realize how excited I am to be in a different scenery, but also just how much I miss trees and the forest and even the green tunnel. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting because like I am and was really excited for this trail for the different like environments, but I do really miss the trees. As we made our way into Hikertown and I was missing trees, I started to worry about the LA Aqueduct. I had heard so many different things, and although I know that the best option is generally to night hike because it can be so hot, I don't love night hiking. I don't like hiking by just the light of my headlamp. I feel like that there's so much to see that I'm missing, and yeah, I just don't love it. But night hiking seemed to be the thing to do for this section of trail, so we were going to give it a shot. We were going to take some naps at Hikertown and the Ninock Cafe before heading out in the cooler temperatures of the early evening. I have to admit that after reading all the blogs and watching all the PCT videos before heading out on the trail, Hikertown seemed like an iconic spot. But for me, this place just gave weird vibes. And I and Barbie did not really love it. We really did like the Ninock Cafe. Their burritos were absolutely delicious, and we actually tried to sleep out back. It didn't really work well, but we did get to hang out with our friends, and we got ready for the Aqueduct by making it like a party with body paint and face glitter.
I love face glitter.
I do too. It's a little bit dry. I think the desert, as it has done everything, has dried it out a little bit. But it's still fun. All right, it is 6 p.m. and we are headed to start the Aqueduct. Let's see how far we make it tonight and what our moods are in a little bit.
When we left Hikertown at 6 p.m. that night, spirits were high, and we were whooping and hollering down the Aqueduct with our friends as we made our way for the long trek of the night. Ironically enough, even though you're walking across an aqueduct, which is full of water, you don't have a lot of water access while walking across this section. So we were very grateful to these people with their little mailbox and guest book and their waters, where we filled up before heading back out. I don't know if it was the sun setting across the desert or just being with my friends on the trail, but there was something about walking across the aqueduct that night that felt somewhat enchanting. As they say though, all good things come to an end, and by the time we set up camp that night, I was over it. I was tired of walking in the dark and not being able to see anything. It was very monotonous to just be walking on concrete, and let's just say that I was exhausted and I was ready to go to bed.
All right, it is day 35 on the Pacific Crest Trail. It is like 4:30. We started the Aqueduct last night, and at around 10:15ish, we were like, it's time to find somewhere to camp. So we were able to find a flat spot to pull over and camp. And Barbie and I slept for like 4 hours. And now we're back at it because it's gonna get really hot here when the sun comes up. So we have, I think like, I don't know, 8-ish more miles or so before we're done with this. So we're gonna crank it out, and yeah, I'm still not sure I love night hiking, but it's what we gotta do. I do appreciate that it's cooler out. I think we're about to walk through the windmills, which could be interesting, but the sun is slowly starting to creep up here. It's gonna be an exhausting and interesting start to day 35.
I am not someone who functions well on a lack of sleep. I never have been. And so the last 24 hours of walking and sleeping had not necessarily been good to me, and I was definitely feeling that. But something that through hiking really made me appreciate, and even more so this trail, was how lovely it was to wake up with the world in the morning and watch the sun rise and light everything up. That morning as we walked, I thought over our adventure down the LA Aqueduct, and I decided that it's really not as bad as people make it out to be. Although I was exhausted, I think it was more so the way that we decided to do it than the aqueduct itself. And although it was very monotonous, it was also really beautiful in its own way. Though I don't like the fact that you're literally walking over water and you have no access to water. But I did love this little sight of this California quail coming out to greet us that morning. I guess we can get electrocuted. Walking through a wind farm was kind of cool until it was not. I'm using so much extra effort to push through the wind. Alright, well, I'm over it. The wind tunnel, or the wind farm, was kind of cool at first, and then it sucked. Because, like, the wind is, like, gusting at you, not pushing you forward, but pushing at you, so you're fighting against it at, like, 50 miles an hour. And so, yeah, what should have been a flat and kind of, like, easy walk was instead like really hard and really tough, and my whole body is exhausted and my knees hurt and I have to pee and I also have to shit. But because we're in a wind farm, I would have like blown away while trying to use the bathroom. So I'm hoping maybe I can find a shrub
but it's all wide open and there's people around. So yeah, straight up not having a good time, but we only have a few more miles and then I get to go back to sleep for a little bit. But yeah, the Aqueduct wasn't that bad. The wind farm was cool and then it sucked. So that's the report. The wind farm was worse than the Aqueduct.
After 24 hours of very little sleep, the wind farm emotionally, mentally, and physically destroyed me. But I was so grateful to reach this little oasis of cold water and to eat my Doritos. The original audio for this clip got really distorted, but basically I am just so excited to be done with the Aqueduct and the wind farm and to be soaking my feet in this cold little pool and to be snacking on Doritos. It felt like my own little personal spa. We were going to enjoy the cold water, enjoy a nice long nap, and then head back out for the day. We had officially survived the LA Aqueduct and the wind farm.
Hello. So after a very long break at the creek and a siesta, which were both much needed, we're back on trail. And we're gonna try and knock out another 8 to 12-ish miles so that we only have like 10 into Tehachapi tomorrow. So yeah, this little section of trail supposedly has some like funky ravines and pieces of trail that are missing. Hopefully those won't be too sketchy, but yeah, we're back on trail. That little spot was like a little oasis and it was so nice to like sleep in the shade and put my feet in a little pool, especially after a rough morning. So yeah, it's overcast right now, which is glorious. So let's knock out these last miles.
We love a surprise and funky trail magic spot that has water and chairs for us to sit and rest our legs for a few moments. That night, as we reached camp nestled in some lovely little flowers, I was exhausted but grateful to have made it through yet another challenging portion of the trail. But I was really grateful for the fact that I was going to get a full night of sleep and that we only had 10 miles into Tehachapi.